Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the House of Bricks Live. And as you can see, I am getting my studio dialed in, but of course the new camera lens that I bought, that camera is not working and my mic is not working yet. But today is going to be an amazing episode. If you've been following the House of Bricks for a long time or are new to our show, our main focus is helping entrepreneurs build business and life brick by brick. And we talk a lot about empowering veterans. So some people say they want to help veterans. Well, veterans don't need help. They need opportunity. They don't want to hand out. They want to hand up. And you have seen on social media my What the Truck initiative, typical Adam House style, just coming up with ideas out of thin air that all of a sudden make a huge impact. And I thank God for that, because he's always given me those great ideas and meeting great people at the right time for the right opportunity. And today's guest, oh my goodness, is the veteran that is driving the Ford Raptor. And as I've talked about before, this is not just a vehicle. It is the vehicle to raise awareness for mental health and PTSD in veterans. And one of the easiest ways to make an impact in that is actually connecting veterans and helping them transition from the battlefield to the boardroom. So most of them, including today's guests, are much more qualified and experienced to run in high pressure situations, make an impact, lead teams. It's just they need that one opportunity, one relationship, one conversation that's going to help them change their life, and not only theirs, but the people that are actually empowering them as well. So I've talked about legacy for a long time. I've always wanted to be a father. Now I'm a father of 4. And I've thought about what is going to be the Adam House legacy. And it's not about money. It's not about real estate. It's not about businesses, but it's about the impact that I want to make on those that serve our country. We're coming up on the 250th year anniversary of our country next year. We've got Veterans Day around the corner. And I'm really excited to welcome today's guest, Josh Kent. So he's a former Green Beret, combat veteran, dedicated advocate for the military community, served in one of the most elite special operations unit in the U.S. Army, where he learned leadership, resilience, and the ability to perform under extreme pressure. And this isn't pressure like, hey, my boss wants me to get a PowerPoint done by 5 o'clock. This is life or death type pressure. He served or did, I think, 14 tours in Iraq. And above all of that, he has an amazing wife, amazing family, and just a great friend to have in our corner. And I couldn't have picked a better person to represent the What the Truck initiative. So Josh Kent, welcome to the House of Bricks.
Man, you know how to make an intro, buddy. I sure thank you for that, and absolutely happy to be here, man. Absolutely happy. Thank you.
Yeah, I always hate listening to my own intro, because like that 1 or 2 minutes is like the highlight of all 30 years of being an entrepreneur. Like, oh, you started 7 companies, 3 exits, took a company public. I was like, yep, and that took 30 years of getting my ass kicked. So I'm still doing it. I'm addicted to the pain, to the climb, I guess. But I just love making an impact in people's life. So first of all, just, I gave a little bit of introduction, and I know you're a humble guy, so this isn't about ego, but tell us about yourself and kind of your journey and what got you here today.
So I, years ago, back in 2000, I started in law enforcement, and, it was kind of like I fell into the job, but I enjoyed it. It's, I think I'd found the ability to serve the community around me, to help people as much as I possibly could. And, 9/11 kicked off, and I felt I didn't initially go in. I had reservations, but, the more I watched the news, and, every time you turned on the news, it was like 8 soldiers dead, 3 Marines dead. And I felt this calling to do something more than what I was doing. And, I spoke to my wife about it. She was like, nope, absolutely not. You're not doing this, because, worst case scenario, you never come back home, And so, we kind of jockeyed back and forth, but the feeling of service never left. And, I just kept, coming back and saying, hey, like 3 months later, like, hey, look, you remember that feeling I was telling you about enlisting and contributing to the cause? It's still there.
Yeah.
And then finally she was like, you know what, go. And, we'll be here. We'll support you. And, just make sure that this is what you want to do. And I was like, I couldn't be more certain that this is what I want to do. And I enlisted in 06, 07 and started in the infantry, went out to Fort Bragg through the Special Forces qualification course, made it, got back to the regiment to an ODA. And, I've spent the last 18 years in the SF regiment. And just here recently, I've made the transition over to shoot for the Army Marksmanship Unit up at Fort Knox. So about 2 years ago, I burned in on a parachute jump. Parachute collapsed. Anybody that's a skydiver or a parachutist, they'll tell you 99% of all accidents happen under a canopy. Well, this was the 99%. And it messed my back up. And I had to make a decision. It was like, I can keep pursuing, but I'm not in the shape that I was before. And I had to make the very unwanted call. It's like, hey, look, old man, it's time for you to let the young man kind of get in there and kind of bump you out. It's like, hey, buddy, high five. I'm tagging you out. So that was a tough call, but honestly, looking back on it, I gave a lot to the regiment. I gave it everything I had. There's no regrets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've absolutely enjoyed it. Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa. And so on the military side of the house, I'm still in, but I'm just shooting competitively as a rifleman for the Army. And I had about 3.5 years where I worked for the U.S. government overseas. That was a very interesting 3.5 years. And, since then on the civilian side of the house, I was a general manager for U.S. Arms Company, which was a weapons manufacturing company, for a few years. And I also worked as a plant manager for a aeronautics industry, making parts for Boeing. So I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. And, I've been very fortunate. There's a lot to do with your success, has a lot to do with the company you keep. And it seems like every time I've been ready to make a transition in my life, there's always been a key person that I've had, that I knew, that I had relationship capital with, that they knew me, and was always able to make kind of that segue. So, God's been good to me in that aspect, really good, actually in all aspects, but I've just been able to kind of find my way. Yeah. And then since then, a few years back, I tried to start up Joker Tactics as a training company for U.S. citizens. They wanted to learn firearm safety, get better with their firearm, whatever they had in their, in their possession. They wanted to get better and kind of learn and be more safe. And so I started that up to try to kind of push the safety aspect and marksmanship aspect of that. And that kind of took off real slow, but we'll get more into that in a bit. And now I'm just kind of making my way through and, making the best decisions possible. And I do a little bit of training on the side for Warrior Poet Society. I absolutely love that. That's a great thing. A lot of fun, meet a lot of great people. Got a lot of hats.
Yeah, you're definitely wearing a lot. And you said master of nothing. So I'll argue with you on that for a little bit. Now you're an expert sniper for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I ran the sniper schoolhouse for group for about 5.5 years. So that was a lot of fun too. I've got some funny stories to tell on that one.
I got one. There was this guy who went shooting with you, and he put the scope right on his eye. I don't know if you know who that was, and the scope kicked back and hit him in the eye. But you weren't responsible for me. I was happy you were watching my 12-year-old, shoot, instead of me. So
he did great, by the way.
It's a lesson you only need to learn one time. It was like getting kicked in the head by a donkey. But I know I talk a lot about how startup life as like a battlefield, right? The battlefield
Yep.
of being an entrepreneur. Now that you're kind of getting into business and into civilian life, like what parallels do you see in the two, and how has your expertise in being a sniper, how does that carry over to business?
One of the things when you first become a sniper, there's a lot of mystique. There's a lot of variables that when you talk about unknown range estimation and spin drift and Coriolis effect and like what do I need to do to make this thing work, make it happen. And so when you first get in there, there's this, you learn quickly that there's this attention to detail that you have to bring each and every time you go to deliver the shot. Yeah. And I look at that shot process as like when we take a look at the business side of the house, it's like we can throw a scattergun approach to anything. Yeah. However, if you're more deliberate and more intentional about the way you're spending your time, if you're more intentional about where do I want this to go, what's the desired effect, how is the outcome? If I put this much time here, does that feed other sources of movement with the company, with the business, and do I get more bang for my buck? Because as a sniper, you can waste a lot of time, right, and still never be successful if you're not intentional about where you're spending your time, being more precise about how that shot needs to take place. So there's just a lot of variables, and in business, one thing that I found is like there can be a mountain of variables when you get started, and it can be overwhelming very quickly, especially if you're new to the business world, right? So like such as a guy like myself, and but if you're intentional about where you put your time and you're precise about how you spend it and the effort that you're putting that time to, you'll get more out of it and you'll be more successful than as if you just took the shotgun approach and you just like roll the dice, throw it, Yeah,
there's a time and place for both, though, in business and on the battlefield. It's like a lot of people take the sniper approach too long and they may be focusing on the right target. So you've kind of seen, even with the House of Bricks and What the Truck, our test, fail, learn, grow model, right. Like it was literally 3 weeks from What the Truck idea to like you're in motion. And then we're down in Miami Beach at the police department. So things just move fast. And then what we learned in that is people really wanted to get behind the movement. They wanted to be a part of what we're doing. They wanted to recognize veterans, not just say thank you with words, but thank you with action and opportunity. What does that mean to you, as a veteran, just to be recognized in that way? And again, I know like just everyone, you're a humble dude. I'll just say that. I know it. So just speak freely,
sure.
And how that impacted you and what you think it can do for other veterans.
When a simple thank you goes a long way. It's kind of like, let me just take it for, I look at service to the country, and not everybody looks at it this way, right? But I'm an American. Mm-hmm. Everybody who holds the title as an American is basically my tribe, right? Even if you're a complete stranger to me. Mm-hmm. So when you become a service member, or whether you're, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Army, what have you, right? You look at America and Americans as like your tribe, and you're doing whatever's necessary to keep your tribe and your country safe, mm-hmm. right? So when another individual, another American reaches out and goes, hey, I don't know what you've been through, but I just want to say thank you. That goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And it means a lot to the guys who have been in, 10 years, 6 years. I mean, even if you've done a 4-year rotation, especially, combat vets, it's like, look, man, genuinely, I want to tell you thank you. And that it means a lot. It actually kind of validates the character within, right? Because you stepped out because you were like, hey, check it out. I want to go and serve my country. There is a need, right? The country's calling and asking for able and willing souls to show up, right? And when we do, it's always nice to have that validation on the backside to be like, just some stranger who calls himself an American, who is an American, says, hey, brother, thank you. Genuinely appreciate it. Because if you crack the numbers down, the armed forces only make up it's like less than 1%,
right,
of the total population.
Right.
So the fact that you put on a uniform puts you in a very tiny category as it is. You said it earlier. It's like, vets who are getting out, they don't want to hand out, they want to hand up. And especially combat vets, not taken away from any of the other guys, but most of the military, as a matter of fact, I guess I could venture to say all of the military is task and purpose driven, right? And when we get out of the military, we go to take the uniform off and we go to transition to civilian life. A lot of that can be kind of, especially if you were a lifer, you did 20 years, 25 years, this is what you knew is the military, right? When you go to take that uniform off, it can be kind of difficult to find out, what am I going to do? How am I going to be successful? How am I going to get this task and purpose? When I take a look at with what we're doing with What the Truck, and how you guys reached out to me and man, I'm going to tell you, it means a lot, because being a part of the movement, it's like, hey, look, all you vets out there that are looking for, you've got great ideas. You just need direction and somebody to help you kind of get there. Come over here, come back over here to this tribe and let us help you. And that service right there is a big thank you, like within, when you look at veterans and when people take the time to show they cared and they were appreciative, man, it just means a lot. It makes you look back and go, yep, it was worth it.
It was worth it. Well, it's an honor for us to be a part of that, and just some of the practicals that we do give veterans. I have my Startup X course, teach you how to get your first 100 customers, how to go to market, how to build a brand. So it's something that, gives them tools they want to provide for their family. They want to buy a house and they want to, just be able to live a good life. And veterans do deserve that. And that's one of the reasons why one of our sponsors for What the Truck is Cintra Mortgage.
Right.
And Cintra specializes in VA mortgages. And so everyone out there, and what I've noticed getting into some of these VSOs, like they actually charge more to veterans than if you were so there's a lot of three-card Monte going on in the veteran world, but I trust these guys. We share an office together. You got to meet Cintra Mortgage, but as a veteran, being able to get financing, get a home, provide for family, and what does that mean to you? What does it do for your mental health? And
so I will say this, as the head of the household, my wife and I, we've been together for 25 years. I feel it's like the duty and responsibility to always be able to provide for the family, right? And not taking away from her. She's tough now. Let me tell you, she's put up with me for a while, but that security to have and to be able to provide a home and have it set up in such a fashion that the process was made easy. Yep. And you got the rate you were looking for, and that the company that you went out through, they had your best interest in mind and not just lying in their pocket, right? Because everybody, there's quite a bit of the audience out there that has bought a house and they're like, yeah, the rate's 13%, right. And you're like, and so when the boys at Centra, man, I love those guys. Like, they genuinely told me, they said, we want to be able to help vets and we want to be able to give them the lowest rate we can possibly give them and make the process streamlined for them. They're helping me right now. So it has been it's been an awesome experience, and to run into those guys and to, people who genuinely like want to help you. They're like, hey, look, we can do this for you, and we can make your life a little bit easier. Like, yes, sir. Sign me up.
Sign me up.
Sign me up.
Yeah. And we don't have all the details out yet, but a percentage of even the profits, even at that reduced rate, are going to go to either the Green Beret Foundation or What the Truck. So not only are they helping get, good lower rates, making sure you're in good hands, but there's going to be a percentage of the, the proceeds that go to either Green Beret or What the Truck. So they say more money, more problems, but money really magnifies who you are. It's a character magnifier. So the more you have, the more you can do great things with, or, it magnifies, character flaws. And I know we have the guardrails in place to, make sure, we're taking care of the veteran, giving back a little bit. And then, like you said, they're helping you out right now, helping you get on social media. So a lot there.
I will say this real quick. I genuinely appreciate the way that House of Bricks and Centra have kind of teamed together. You guys have kind of taken like the NCO's mentality, which is the non-commissioned officer, basically all of your enlisted ranks. So in the enlisted rank, you're fostered into this mentality that like, those who are underneath me, I want to do what I can to make their life easier, provide them with what they need, and let them go forth and complete the mission. Right. And I just genuinely appreciate how you guys have kind of come together, and you're like, hey, let me help you, and let me help you in such a way that's going to make you more successful, and then go forth and do great things. So I just appreciate the mindset with the way you guys are driving the company, in that, hey, let me help you help yourself. And then that way you can be successful. And in doing so, I succeeded,
That was a Jerry Maguire moment. Help me help you.
It's a real thing, right?
Yeah, it really is. Like, help me help you. Like, one of the sections of the House of Bricks Live, we talk about testing, failing, learning, and growing. So breaking that down, like a lot of people with self-limiting beliefs, they don't even test. They don't take that first step. Right. Then you have people that fail and they don't have a community around them, like the House of Bricks or, their tribe from service, having those people around you like, hey, I failed. What can I learn from this? That's why I do business advisory and coaching, is really to help people learn. I can't prevent you from failing, but I can give you some shortcuts based on the dummy tax that I've paid. Like, hey, look at it this way. You learn, and then that's where the growth really happens. And it's a flywheel. You're constantly testing, failing, learning, and growing. And that's how you create sustainable success and the compound effect of doing small things every day consistently over time. That's what makes a big impact. So talking about your story personally, so in the post-military life, where did things not go as planned, and what were you trying to build?
So one of the first things I had when I came out of the gate, I was fresh back from Afghanistan, and being that I ran the sniper school for a while, there was a lot of things that I saw with companies like Leopold, Schmidt Bender, all of these Night Force, all these big optics companies, that they didn't really provide the shooter with like the information that they could use more, that was more pertinent and more readily, that should be more readily available to the shooter. Right. And so I started designing optics reticles for rifle scopes, and my goal and intent was to bring it up through the Department of Defense, like get this in front of the right eyes. And but I knew that all the civilian market is kind of what drives the defense market. If you've seen a lot of these companies when they come up, like Beret started as just like a normal regular firearms company, and then the Department of Defense looked at them and said, hey, I like that. yeah, let me get about 100 of those, And so I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, and that's been true across the board, let me find an optics company that I could work with, and I will, try to bring this knowledge and these reticles through their product line to get them seen, get them and get them into the system. Well, I structured a deal with them, and they were like, yep, we're all on board. And so I started going forth, and basically I was working on the commission. And so, whatever I was able to produce, which I was setting all these lines of effort in place. And basically at the last minute, when the check was going to get signed, they dropped the deal. And
right.
So I had this like crushing. I was like, I just worked for 8 months for you.
Right.
And I didn't get paid a dime. And here it is. They had some of my intellectual property. There was all this other stuff. And like, I had gone through their entire Rolodex and updated all their products. Like, there was so much that had to be done. And I was like, I got you, bud. Like, let's do this. We put ink to paper, and then it was just like, it just failed. It just died right there. And I was like, oh my God, well, what do I do now? And that was really tough. That put a bitter taste in my mouth, that I had dedicated that much time away from my family, that, I'd put this much effort and this much work. And really what I did was I polished them up, and they kind of just discarded me right at the last minute. And that was tough, man. That was a really tough experience. And I know they happen, but when they happen to you, it becomes more personal. You're like, like, come on. And I will say this, that looking back on it, I should have probably put some smaller steps instead of just getting really gung ho and like, I'm going to go all in, and it should have been like let's get to here. Let's see how you react. Okay. You paid me. Okay, cool. Now let's move to here. Let's see how you react. That was a hard learning experience right there, man. That was a big failing point on my end. And looking back on it, like I went full retard right out of the gate. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, gas pedal down.
Yeah.
We're at the drag strip. But you live and you learn, so that was a tough one though.
Yeah. Well, that's what I, tell people, like, again, that's the test, fail, learn, grow, right? The worst decision in life is to not make decisions. Right? Those decisions.
Right.
Someone's at the door, maybe the Amazon guy.
Yes, it's a package.
It's a package. This is exactly why I had to move my house or my studio out of my house, because the UPS guy, 5 times a day with an Amazon delivery.
Yeah. And you can't do anything about it because they're geared that way. They're like, somebody's here.
Right. Oh yeah. But yeah, we're just, when you make a decision that creates feedback, that action, right? Then you can make better decisions as you progress. And we talk a lot about our simple framework, right? Strategy. You got to have your strategy. Innovation. You test, fail, learn, grow. The M is for metrics. So now you have to measure the results of that testing, failing, learning, and growing. The P stands for people. So a lot of people at the beginning, when they don't have the right strategy, they're hiring the wrong people. So you go through that process, then it's like, okay, this is who I need on my team. The L stands for leverage, which a lot of people want to 10X their business at the beginning, but you're 10Xing the wrong thing. So now you have the data, you got the metrics, you've test, fail, learn, and grow, you got the right people, then the business will leverage. And then it all comes down to the E, which is execution. So as well as anybody, without execution, you're just missing it. Like you can't execute, you might as well just stop. Right.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. And another big one is the people. I would say people and leverage, right? If you've got the right people, it certainly makes life a lot easier. You know what I mean? It's like, so from a military aspect, it's like if I have subordinates, right, I look at them, I give them task, condition, and purpose.
Yeah.
Right. And so once I give task, condition, and purpose, now I'm just kind of overseeing what they're doing and managing their outcomes. So when you look at the people side of the house from the test rubric, right, it's like if you got good people, once you give them task, condition, and purpose, now you're just kind of managing and overseeing that they're producing the outcome that you want, because no man can do 100% of everything. Right. Right. There has to be delegation.
And that's the founder's dilemma all the time, right? Is when do you start to delegate? And some delegate too early, some delegate too late, and some don't delegate at all.
Yes.
And that's why they can't grow. So if you're a CEO or a founder listening to this and you feel like, hey, I'm doing 15 things, at once, or like the biggest myth in the world is like, I'm a great multitasker. It's like, no, you just half-ass it at everything.
Yeah, at everything.
At everything. Yeah. So we've got a signature story with you, the uninvited room. So in the military, sometimes, you have to step into situations without a formal invitation because the mission's going to demand that. But was there a time in your civilian career where you had to take the same approach to an open door that wasn't naturally open to you?
Well, I had one where, when I started working for U.S. Arms Company, there was a heaven's sakes. There was two owners for the company, and in that I had, being the GM, I had two different people that I was trying to manage expectations with. They were kind of at odds with each other, and being that there was like 50% ownership. So I was in this kind of battle and dilemma of like bringing the products up and managing expectations from two different people, because they didn't have the same vision. Right. They didn't have the same vision and outcome for the company that would have been like this unified effort that would have brought the team together.
Right.
And it eventually came to like this crescendo where, one of the owners was burning through capital, and then the other owner was like, no, we need to hold and reserve this. And that made it very difficult in trying to push the business forward, which we made a lot of growth. We had like $1.5 million in sales. Right. And we were only like 3 years old. So we were still making leaps and strides, but I just remember like managing personalities in that. It was like you had to constantly bite your tongue. Right. And then the one failing point that I remember to that is there were several times where, being that everybody was kind of on edge, I was trying to like massage feelings. And it was like, instead of just coming forward and going, nope, you shouldn't do that. Right. I think that's a bad idea. I think you are like half-baked retarded right now. Instead of being blunt, I was like, yeah. I wouldn't, and because when you reach, certain people are very headstrong in being able to read the room and the character of the person you're talking to. You may have to be more blunt and deliberate with that individual so that they get the message. You know what I mean? And I failed with that business in the fact that I was trying to make everybody happy and kind of satisfy it to keep the machine running. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it, had I have been more blunt and direct, even with the man who was paying me, I'm not saying it would have turned out different, but I feel, looking, hindsight, Monday night quarterbacking it, I feel that it would have turned out a lot better.
Yeah, and look, that's learning, right? You're looking back, you see how it didn't work, and how you can apply it, and now you've grown from it. And not to digress too much into what we were talking about earlier, but again, the mission of what the truck, right, is to help veterans, whether it's refinance, pull cash out, buy a new home with our partner, Centra Mortgage. We're using our, Startup X course, starting your own business. And all of that is to drive awareness towards mental health and PTSD. How big of a problem do you see that in the veteran space? And if someone's out there listening, whether they're an entrepreneur or a veteran, and they kind of feel in a dark place, what is one thing that you wish you would have heard, or something someone could have done to help you through some of your darkest moments, or some of your teammates? What do you see as like the thing that someone can do to take that first step in climbing out of the valley?
Right. So the first thing that I would say to all the vets, all of those who are out there, you're meeting the grind. You're constantly, you kind of feel like you're in this rut. Like, it doesn't matter what push or, what struggle that you're like, all right, well, I keep applying this effort, and it doesn't seem like I can get the business over the top, over the hill. The vets who are still struggling with, all of past trauma, right? Everybody deals with everything differently, and you can only compartmentalize so much. Mm-hmm. And once those little compartments start overflowing, right, then it becomes the emotional catastrophe,
right?
Which is tough. And for those out there that are struggling, the first thing that I would say to you is, like, you have task and purpose, right? You have meaning, you have worth and value. Some of the biggest things that you could ever do is, like, admit that, like, hey, I need help. Yeah. Years ago in my late 20s, I had a pretty bad drinking problem. And it was the way that I used to kind of like massage the trauma. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I still love whiskey and bourbon to this day, but not like I used to.
That level, right?
That's that level, right?
That was a passion back then.
It was like, ooh, is that Woodford Reserve? Oh, but what I would say is that, you have worth, you have value, and a lot of what you need is to be able to speak about it. Yeah, is to find, because once you start vocalizing what it is that's going on, then you can start saying, hey, look, here's where I need to put my effort, right? Here's what's going to pull me out of this rut. And a lot of times, especially from my point of view, I didn't vocalize what I was having issues with. And in that, because I just kind of kept it to myself, I was like, nobody wants to hear this. Man, I don't even want to hear it, Right. And so I had this, it took a while before I started, like, actually talking about the things that were bothering me, and putting it out there in the open, not only for others to hear it, but for me to hear it, right? And then I was able to start looking at, like, okay, well, if this is the issue, how do I fix it? Right. And from a business standpoint, from an emotional strength standpoint, if you don't verbalize it, you're not going to identify it, and you won't have a way to start attacking the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. And listen, if you're watching the show, listening, whatever it is, like, the easiest thing you could do is just tag a veteran in to watch this, right? See that someone cares, see that we're taking action. It's a massive problem we're trying to tackle, but just a simple thank you, tag someone in. And like you said, I'm the last guy to ask for help. Like, typically if I'm asking for help, like, I'm at the bottom of the ocean, like, with one leg, and I may text a friend like, hey dude, I don't think things are going very well right now.
And it's a common sentiment across the board for especially men. We do a terrible job of, like, reaching out for help because we want to feel like we got it. And for the most part we do, right? We climb out of the hole. We've done it a million times ourselves, but sometimes it is good. Absolutely. I agree with you. It is good to vocalize it, identify it, and then seek help.
So, current day, you're working with poet warriors and serving as the ambassador for What the Truck movement through House of Bricks and Veterans, powered by Centra Mortgage. What's the mission that you're driving right now? Like, what do you feel the biggest impact is going to be? So
with What the Truck, House of Bricks, and Centra, my ultimate goal, again, I'm an NCO, my ultimate goal is to get vets out there aware of House of Bricks, of Centra, and what it is, the help that you guys are trying to offer, right? I've got several friends right now that are, they've got these great ideas. They've got some of them patented already, but they don't know how to start the business up. They don't know where to, put their efforts. They don't know where to put their money. And there's this fear of failing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you can give direction, task, and purpose to these guys, like they'll go out and hunt. They'll be like, "You want me to do what? You're
right.
going to give me the keys to this castle?
Right.
We'll live in it. Let's go." You know what I mean?
Right.
And I love that. It's one of the things I've always loved about the regiment is like you give a guy task and purpose, and they're like, "Roger that, sir. I got it." Yep. And when you get back, it's like, if I needed something absolutely obliterated overnight, you'd come back the next morning and it would be leveled. And you're like, "Good job, boys.
Yeah.
Good job." And so, the same sense, it's like when guys get out, and for anybody who's starting a business, I mean, grief, if you don't know what you don't know, right? And in tackling that, a lot of people never pursue it because they're not willing to take the L, but they're like, "Nope," because I know as soon as I push forward, I'll miss something, and I'm just not willing to lose all of that capital that I've saved the last 10 years for. And I don't feel comfortable with it, and a lot don't pursue. And you guys are extending the hand to say, "Hey, check it out. I can make you successful because I've already failed."
Exactly. That's the key point, right? I don't have the right answers. I have all the wrong ones that will lead you to the right ones. So don't do anything that I've just said. Do something else, and you're going to be successful. So that's, it's knowledge is built through learning, testing, failing, and you take that opportunity to grow. So if people want to learn more about you, and before we actually get into that, if there is a veteran listening now, like, what is the one thing that you would want them to hear today, as a key takeaway from your story, from House of Bricks, from Centra? Like, what's one thing that you want to leave with them?
The first thing I want to say to all the vets is, like, thank you for what you've done, right? You all are my boys, even if I don't know you. And I appreciate everything that you put forth, your time away from your families. But moving forward, right, continue to use the same zeal and passion that you had before, and take that same passion and put it towards the next thing, and you will continue to be successful.
That's solid. And the one thing I'll say is, if you think you need help, you do. So, so just join, whether it's this movement, that movement, like whatever. But when you're in the service, like you said, it's always the next task at hand. In most branches, and when you're in the service, you're being told, be here at 0600, come here at So right. You get out, and no one's telling you what to do, and that like, you're like, what do? I don't know. I've never had like this freedom, and that can be a blessing, but it also can be dangerous. That first month out, it's like, where's my unit? Where's my tribe? Who do I connect with? Who's telling me what to do? So that's why we started our free Substack newsletter. It's got my course in there. We're going to feature best in class speakers. It's certainly not just about what I say, but bringing in trusted advisors, like you in the veteran space, some top venture capitalists, CEOs, just different voices that have a different view on things that can really encourage and inspire people. So as we wrap up today, if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way to do it? If they want to learn more about veteran mortgages or Startup X or the What the Truck movement?
Yeah. Guys can reach out, like look for Joker Tactics on Instagram. House of Bricks. You guys can find me out on House of Bricks. Warrior Poet, I'm teaching for them. So you guys want to make fun of me there. I've got a face for radio. You know what I'm saying? So, you guys can look up Warrior Poet Society. There's stuff there, and you guys can reach out through them and get a hold of me there. So there's different platforms, but as far as the, veterans looking for business and, refinance, you want to buy a new house or something, reach out to House of Bricks, and you guys can get a hold of me through House of Bricks, right? So there's several platforms.
Yeah, and we'll put your contact information in here, but always like to say that for some of the listeners out there that may be on a podcast or whatever. But you can connect with House of Bricks. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, message us through the website. House of Bricks Inc. INC is our Instagram. You can follow us there, but we're on every platform. And I always tell people, like, I don't care if there's just one person listening that needed to hear what we have to say. We're not about numbers or followers or vanity metrics, but there could just be one veteran today that's listening to this, that this story resonated with them at a specific time, in a specific place, in a specific way, to make a specific impact. Like, right. You and I are both believers. We know there's nothing new under the sun. And
I love Jesus.
Everyone is just kind of regurgitating things out of the Bible, and they're, turning it into their own motivational speeches. But it's about really just hearing it at the right time. Like, sure. You may have heard it 100 times before, but this may be the time where you say, you know what, I'll reach out for help. Josh, he needs help. Adam House, I need a lot of help. So you're not alone in those thoughts. Like you said, just even talking to somebody will let you at least get it out, number one. And number two, 90% of what we worry about never even happens to us anyway. So it's just a sound voice. And it is not a sign of weakness, but strength to ask for help to that next stage. So I want to thank you, Josh, for being the inaugural ambassador of What the Truck. If anyone works at Ford and you're listening, you'd be a great sponsor for What the Truck, in addition to Central Mortgage. But we're just, trying to do good things for good people that serve their country, and we know God will take care of the rest. So I want to thank you again for being on the House of Bricks. You're a great man, great family. It was now I see why you're successful, because I met your wife. So yeah. I was like, this guy's not that smart. But then I met your wife. I was like, okay, now everything makes sense. Like, so, but no one's more deserving of this than you and your family. So we're honored to get behind it. And we know we're going to make a massive impact, truck by truck, vet by vet, brick by brick. What else can we say? So thanks again, Josh, for joining. Thank you for your service, and honored again to have you on House of Bricks Live.
Thank you, Adam. It's a privilege and an honor myself. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Say hi to your better half for me.
I will. I absolutely will.